on behalf of the management of Global College International, would like to thank Ashu ma'am for accepting our request to be there with us this morning uh, and share her experiences, learnings, thoughts, and as she's a pioneer in leadership, about leadership. And the topic which she has chosen and she has made to present is directly pointing it to us, which is you. Everyone on the screen who can see my finger towards you, it's you. Yes, you as a leader. That's a very thought-provoking topic, Ashwam. Thank you so much for the whole this thing. And I would not take much of the time of the participants. The number is again increasing, 267, 270 now. So that's a tickling going on the screen. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And I leave to Ashu ma'am for now, and then I'll keep coming in between to ask the questions. Ma'am, how do we begin? The leadership, how does the leadership begin in everyone? Is it, I mean, like the debate, old debate, which we have been hearing all the time, the starting of the leadership, that we always start a book, and the moment we start a leadership book, it says leaders are born or made. The question begins there itself, right? So you being the expert, and you've been into leadership, building leaders, building CEOs, building the great. I mean, like, I know you have been in touch with all the Bollywood celebrities. You have been making them. You have been in a in a key factor to their making to a leader. So how do we as a student, majorly these are students who have joined us, and few of the directors of the college and many senior people have also joined in. So how do we start our leadership journey? Before I give it to Ashu ma'am, may I request everyone to put their videos on? Let it not be a YouTube video kind of thing where someone speaks and you guys listen with your video off. Let's have it interactive. Let us see each other. And if you have any question to post in between, just text it up in the chat box. We will take your questions. Ashu ma'am, I leave it to you.
Okay, so good morning to everybody in Nepal. Thank you very much for inviting me for this conversation. And as Akshay said, it is going to be conversational. It is not a download. I think there are enough books in the world if you want a download. So I don't believe in that. Now, the main thing, when he started with this question is leaders are born, not made. And it's, I think, one of the most common questions that starts any leadership conversation. And the biggest myth I would like to disprove here is there's a leader in each one of us. I think that is what I'd like to start with. It's not about being born or made. It's about really accepting that there is a leader in each one of us. Each one of us has the capacity to take leadership of our life and grow into a leader. It doesn't have to be just a corporate leader or just a sportsman. Taking leadership of your life in any arena gives you the privilege of growing into leadership space. It's what we call self-leadership, because there is that capacity. And what is how I'm going to, are you all familiar, completely comfortable with English, and can I just take the questions and the conversation as we are going?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please.
Okay, so I'd like to ask each one of you, have you all ever heard the concept called inner voice, inner self, or that little voice inside you, which, we can hear it sometimes, the voice of consciousness? How many of you all are familiar with it? Put your thumbs up with use the reactions and put your thumbs up if anybody's heard it or not. Okay. Sneha, Chirag, Aslam, I have only 3 thumbs up. Rahul, okay. So we all have a inner voice, a voice inside us which tells us what to do, when to do things, how to do things. And as you know, if you read, there is, as children, you may have been introduced to this book of Pinocchio. There's a character in that called Jiminy Cricket. And each time Pinocchio does not listen to Jiminy Cricket, his nose gets longer. Jiminy Cricket is nothing but representative of the voice of consciousness. And that is the voice that exists in all of us. And if we listen to that voice, we can all grow into leaders. You know, leaders, even a homemaker is a leader, a parent is a leader, because you're leading and nurturing somebody else. You are running a home. Anyone who takes over their thoughts, their emotions, and takes full charge of their actions, the choices, their consequences, they take leadership. So that's really the definition of a true leader, someone who really takes full charge of their choices, their actions, and their consequences. So really speaking, anybody of you can choose to grow into complete full leadership and decide what you want to do and steer your life in that direction. I started out as, you know, typical student life, going to school, then college, and I did my chartered accountancy. It seemed like a fairly tried and tested path at that time. Although I must admit, in my day and age, there were not that many women chartered accountants in India. And in Arthur Andersen, where I started my internship, there were even fewer. I was the first woman professional to be recruited by them. So from that perspective, if you really look at it, it was very, very few people, women, who made it, but I took that call. Some years later, got married, moved on to, you know, moving to from Delhi to Mumbai to Hong Kong to Singapore. All these transitions in life started creating a lot of change in my circumstances, because in all these years I had to change jobs, I had to change countries, I had children, I had a larger family. There was just so much change that at some point I was not being able to hold on to everything, much as I was trying to take, you know, charge of my career and my family and everything. In trying to do it all perfectly and right, what I discovered was that I started getting more and more agitated and angry internally. That was not a very nice place to be so unhappy with life. Actually, I had everything and more in life, but I was unhappy in life. And it had nothing to do with the fact that and I'm not even saying like unhappy, I think I was agitated and frustrated. And it's got nothing to do with not having enough of anything. It was a lack of ability to have gratitude for all that I had and see that I had everything, but I just did not recognize it, acknowledge it, or understand it, and actually take charge of the fact that I chose to slow down change my career stream. I chose to move, get married and move. And it was the fact that I made those choices and I did not take leadership of my decisions is what caused either the agitation or the ability to actually grow. Then I had the most bizarre experience of getting bitten by about 100 bees. And that created, you know, made me sit up and question my life and my choices and ask myself, what do I want? Asking myself, what do I want most of, was, I would say, was the best thing I did. Because till then I had set short-term goals. I had followed the tried and tested route of family, of social life. But I had never asked myself, what do I want most of? And I had not questioned myself for how did I feel about those choices. So the day I asked myself, what do I want most of? I actually realized I wanted, it was something simple which we all seek, success and happiness. But I had no clear definition of what did it mean to be a successful or a happy mother. I had no definition of what did it mean to me to be a successful professional. Everything was more driven by what the world expected of me, less driven by what I thought was the right thing to do. And that is where my entire journey of coaching started as a coach, as a leadership coach. Because from there on, everything started moving from what is the right thing to do rather than just doing what the world expects me to do. Now, that doesn't mean that my relationships in the world disappeared. It simply meant that I had to learn to align and understand that everything has to function together. There's a balance. I can't live in isolation and I can't completely only live for everybody. There has to be a balance for everything. So the more I started getting into this place of self-discovery and self-transformation is when I started, actually realizing that there is a way to do it right, even for leaders. I started working, I discovered my purpose of life, I was born to be a coach. I discovered my calling, and from there on, I started actually working with clients on realizing that when you live in alignment with your inner self, you can actually live joyfully and successfully at all times and not be struggling at all times. So I'm going to take a pause here, Akshay, and take some questions, or I'll leave you to ask me.
This brings to me a very important point, which I have been listening all the time, and we always, as a professional, feel a challenge with. Uh, Run behind your passion, and the money follows. But the challenge with today's world is uh, we keep running behind money, and the passion suffers. Guys, if you have a point to raise or a question to ask, please shoot it now. You can raise your hand. I would request Deeprat sir to unmute the person who's raising the hand to ask the question, or we go ahead and ask ma'am about this. As a student, which majorly, ma'am, we are live on Facebook as well because we have reached the highest number of participants limit in Zoom. So we are live on Facebook as well now. Anyone who is not able to join in through Zoom may be there in Facebook with us, and you may post your questions there as well. Uh, any question that you want to point or any point that you want to raise up, or I'll ask ma'am to give us an insight about, as a student, shall we also run behind designations, money, small startups, or actually we should keep on running about our passion, which normally we have been seeing people skipping off.
So yeah, when it's a very relevant question and very relevant to the young youth, because channelizing your passion uh, in a direction that gives you joy will actually last longer. Yes, we all need economic stability, but I have come across many people who even run NGOs for joy. They will climb a Mount Everest for joy, and it's not about giving money. I think each one of us has to decide what is important for me and what will give me happiness. If making money is giving you happiness, sure. Uh, Looking at some of the leaders of the world, when I say leaders, I'm talking about whether it's Mahatma Gandhi or Mother Teresa. None of them went after money. They really went about looking at what was their calling and what did they want, making a difference to humanity. Now, as I said, you could be climbing Mount Everest, or you could be making a difference to a community, or you could be an entrepreneur and setting up a business or taking up a job. We all have different courage levels, Akshay. That's the first fundamental thing. So when we all have different courage levels, it is not like one solution applies to everybody. Each one has to discover for themselves what is their courage level to not be the conformist and to follow their heart. There is struggle in following your heart. There is struggle even in not following your heart. Because let me tell you, there is pain in going behind something where your heart is not in it. It will catch up with you irrespective. It's a question of which pain you can bear more of. And does it converge, and does the money or the fame or the success follow you?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, sorry.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, Eugene, please go ahead.
What should we choose between passion and purpose? Like, we should go with our passion, or we should go with the purpose that we want to do?
And I will tell you, why don't you converge both? Why do we have to choose one? I pursue my purpose with a passion. So why do you have to split it? The very fact the work I do as a coach, whether I'm working with an NGO for free or whether I'm working for a corporate at a fee, my commitment to excellence does not change. Because my purpose is to excel, and I put all my passion behind their excellence. So I don't split them.
That's actually the need of the hour that we have been missing all the time as a student. Now, when you're starting a journey, you need to choose on the passion and see the money might follow, which ma'am was trying to bring in. Any other point that we have got?
So someone has asked how to self-discover yourself. How to discover yourself is really about, sitting with yourself. It's contemplation. It's a dual process. One is the world always gives you feedback. You do things right, there'll always be somebody who will be happy around it and respond favorably. Let me put it that way. You'll get a favorable or a more than favorable outcome. On the other hand, if you don't, and it doesn't mean that if you get an unfavorable outcome that you didn't do things right. It could just be you needed to do things differently, or it wasn't the right time for certain things, or you missed something. We are so quick to judge ourselves, in fact. So I would say look at all factors holistically. The other part of self-discovery is sitting with yourself and asking yourself, what are my strengths? We all have so many strengths in us. Just this conversation, for instance, when we started this whole webinar today, there's one person who's an IT person. There is Akshay, who's here as a director at the university. All of us have different skills and capacities, and are unique at being something that we are better at. So knowing what is it that is my uniqueness, what is it that I can do naturally and excel at, is something itself which helps you grow. So some people are naturally good at numbers, some are good at language, some music. All of us have some are physically stronger, some are emotionally stronger. So it's really sitting down and understanding yourself. Second is taking feedback. Third, there are so many psychometric tools in the market today that you can actually start from there. Take some of any basic psychometric tool to start getting a little understanding about yourself, about your, limitations as a human being, because all of us cannot do everything. If I am emotionally stronger, that does not necessarily mean that I'll be equally physically stronger. I may need help from a physical perspective with somebody, or I may need help on a technology basis. And that's how the whole process of self-discovery starts for us.
We always get this idea, ma'am, which students come and share with us saying, sir, we have got this startup idea or that startup idea. But what happens is either, I mean, like, this is not completely to leadership, but yes, connected to leadership again. They have few challenges which come in. First, money for sure. Sir, who is going to fund my startup? Who is going to fund my business? Second comes, sir, no one is supporting me. I have got parents who are saying no to me, forget about the world who's going to accept me or not. So how do we as a student deal with this situation where we are filled with energy, right? I would say we are overflowing energies, but the ecosystem is not so supportive. So how do we, our leadership comes out that time, and how do we play in that role?
The pandemic is a situation where maybe most people are feeling that they're stuck in life. And this sense of helplessness and powerlessness actually is something which is really for us to conquer. We can all conquer it. When you're saying the ecosystem is not supporting you, maybe you are reaching out to a limited ecosystem. Look beyond the ecosystem. Why are you limiting? So I'm going to give you a little example. When I started out as a coach, nobody even understood in India what I was really talking about, because coaching industry did not exist in India. Some people thought I'm doing personality development. Some thought I'm doing training. I had all kinds of misnomers around me. However, the passion in me was so strong, or more than the passion and the whole clarity that this is something that will work and can work because it's working in my life. I just stayed with it. I kept talking about it to anyone and everyone who I thought made sense to me. Little by little, I started getting the first client, the second client. I have had many rejections, many failures. So understand, so the path to entrepreneurship is riddled with rejections and failures. Getting disheartened with that is actually giving up on your idea, giving up on your dream, and giving up on hope and the whole possibility of life. It's all about sitting back to say, does my idea need tweaking? Does my universe of people need to change? Is the way I'm addressing it need to change? What do I need to do differently to make it happen for myself? I'm sure all of you all are familiar with, I'm going to take a very non-corporate example with Amitabh Bachchan. He went through a phase of failures, flops. And he took a hiatus actually for a little while. And then he re-emerged with Kaun Banega Crorepati with a completely new image, a new makeup, a new look, everything new. The actor in him had not died. The capability had not died. He had to change how he presented himself and emerge completely. The audience was not looking for that angry young man and that hero anymore. People were looking for a mature person. It was a complete, rebirth he had to go through. So it really depends. Your idea may have to go through a rebirth. There's so many entrepreneurs and leaders who start with one idea, change to another, then another, and it keeps morphing till they get it right. So some strike lucky right away, and some have to keep trying. In fact, if you read I would urge you to read some books, stories of entrepreneurs who made it big, and you'll be surprised to see how many of them went through failures before they hit it right.
With a lot of BBA students, BTTM students, and MBA students specifically joined us today. Specifically, I would pinpoint to the MBA. They have been working in some of the other organizations along with doing their MBA. And every day, again, this point has come in where they feel, sir, we have been investing our 11 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. How do they come out of this and start up their own, a bit of insight to them, and then I move to the next.
So, sure. So firstly, ask yourself that as each idea, so I'll tell you what, before I became a coach, Akshay, I went through about 5 years of trying to figure out what will work for me. It didn't fall in my lap just the first time. I tried graphic design because I was passionate about, just drawing and sketching and stuff like that, but I'm not great at it. I was passionate about it. I tried retail and import export. Again, I hit a roadblock. I actually went and did a course in catering and restauranting and management because I wanted to open a Oriental food restaurant. Again, I could not take it forward. I joined a bank. I quit in 6 months. I joined a recruitment company. I kept trying. Now, in each one of them, what I discovered, when you look at the path of self-discovery, I discovered what I was not good at. I discovered what my circumstances would permit and what they would not permit, what I could do within my own circumstances and what I could not. So what actually those 5 years did for me was a great reality check, built in resilience in me, it built in patience in me. It helped me understand myself, and it helped me understand that entrepreneurship is not an easy journey. Do I want to stay on it? Because I will always hit pitfalls because the market keeps changing, and it's not as if that by becoming an entrepreneur, the product is set and gone and can keep moving smoothly. I mean, otherwise you take up a job and, you can take any small job if economics is the only thing, but we all look for fulfillment and satisfaction. And I think that is where the challenge comes, that we are not ready to settle down on a small thing because we want fulfillment and satisfaction, and we want to unleash our potential. Unleashing your potential is a journey. It's not something that happens in a moment. It's a journey of a lifetime. So you just have to keep pursuing and keep talking to people. So translating any idea into reality, I would say, firstly, sit down with a paper and pen. Look at the pros and cons, look at your circumstances, look at your strengths, look at the economics required. When I started out as a coach, actually, I have done it on a shoestring budget of 60,000 rupees. And I started with I bought a printer fax machine, which was a combined scanner printer fax machine. It served all purposes. I did not have any office staff or anything. I worked for myself fully. So are you willing to go through that struggle? I would ask you. Are you willing to go through failures? Are you willing to go through rejection? Are you willing to go through re-ideation? Then the entrepreneur's path is perfect for you. If you want it handed out to you, then no.
Exactly the point which I was speaking to one more person, and he was trying to give me this idea that do we want to remain as a commoner in this whole population in the country that we have, or do we have a difference? So if we have a difference, so how do we create a difference? That's what, as Ashuna was mentioning about following your passion. As we have seen those leaders, which ma'am was given an example of Mahatma Gandhi and everyone, Mother Teresa for that matter, we have got one doctor in Nepal who has been helping people with their eye cataract thing. Suren sir, if you could help me with the name of the person, it's just went off my mind. Who is the one who is
related to eyesight?
Yes, eye cataract surgeon.
Sanduk Ruit.
Sanduk Ruit. See, these people have been following their passion like anything and have been proving to the world that people would recognize their name and the fame would automatically come in. And as ma'am said, the money is secondary. But yes, agreed to a point which money is required to run out your daily expenses. daily livelihood. Any question that we have got now for ma'am to be answered? Yeah, Rabin has got a point. Rabin, please unmute yourself and shoot the point, shoot the question.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir, can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you. Please, Rabin, go ahead.
So yes, actually I had a question for ma'am. Earlier we talked about our non-supportive ecosystem. As a student, our ecosystem is limited. I know it is said that one must take risks and get out of their safety zone to achieve one's dream or passion. But again, as a student, as a student, we have to depend on that limited ecosystem, especially in financial term, you know. So here's my question. Is there any way to pursue our passion or our dreams within that limited ecosystem?
You know, Rabin, till about 5 years ago, I had never heard the term crowdfunding. And if there's one, and even that is something that has taken off in a big way for people to fund initiatives. So if there's one thing I have, my 50 plus years of my life have taught me is that we have innate creativity in us. Technology has empowered us so hugely. So when you tell me that your ecosystem is limited by that student universe that you live in, I would say the very fact I am talking to you today has extended my universe. So where could you extend your universe is something you have to think. We have, I mean, 25 years ago, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no Google, there was no LinkedIn, no Twitter, no Snapchat, nothing. And yet I did not feel my universe was limited. And today, I think we are spoiled for choices. So how can you say your universe is limited? I really wonder. I would really ask you that what would it take for you to expand your universe? Where could you reach out to? If I had to ask you in this moment, outside of your university, or even within your university, have you engaged with every student, as many students or professors as possible? Have you bounced off your ideas with them? Have you asked them for support? Have you tapped into this ecosystem to say, what can we do and what can you do for us, or how can you help us reach out? Which is the stream that you're interested in? Have you read up enough on it and tried to see who are the people who fund those ideas? So I would say that the universe is open for you. So my approach, I'm sorry, is very different.
I'm very sure this approach, which you have experienced and worked out, works much better when I, as a listener, is listening to the conversation. Yes, very well said. You need to come out of your shell and explore the opportunities rather than just living in the cocoon of a frog which is in a well. So come out of that well and see
So
how
Akshay,
things
I'm
are.
going to tell you something. When I started out as a coach, as I told you, I had nobody in India who knew coaching. Being the pioneer coach, it was pretty much zero. I had to firstly go and study coaching. Even when I chose to, first I did a 1-year program on self-transformation in India. Then I, once I got more clear on this is the path I want to take, I went and did a course, and the only place I could go to was Singapore. My sister lived there. So it was the easiest for me to do. Again, in India, there was no one who could tell me if I was doing right or wrong, or I was pursuing the profession correctly, or even how to grow in the profession, because there were no conferences happening in India. I didn't have a peer group or a community to teach me. So again, I would go on the net and I started trying to reach out to people. At some point, I started figuring out that Harvard has conferences. Every 3 years, I wouldn't go annually, it was too expensive. I would go once in 3 years to attend conferences and then combine it with other personal things to make the most of the trip and learn whatever I could and come back. It is, and read as much as I could sitting back home. I have, used Google to no end. I mean, I've used internet to learn amazingly because I would not have had, I didn't have access beyond a point. Clients, little by little, it kept moving. And it's even today when I have taken this path of wanting to put out a mission for authentic leadership, I didn't know how to create a team. Who would want to join me? I've taken on a mission where I'm looking for volunteers. It's unheard of again. Twitter is my community from where I have got 10 people to join my team. And they all give time for free to the work I do. So I have people joining me from Twitter. My community today is from Twitter. My community today is through LinkedIn. And the rest is through my professional network that I've built over the years. I have about 30 people who we are working completely on a volunteer basis to push an idea. So my investment in it is a website and my time and energy to build those relationships. That is my largest investment, is to constantly stay engaged with my network.
So well said, ma'am. I go back to a movie which we were seeing, Badmash Company, and the Shahid Kapoor comes in and says, business doesn't go by only money, it goes by idea. So the idea is bigger and money is not a bigger thing which is there in the system. I'm sure as you had this idea and you started off, it was nowhere in the world and you came up with something. This brings to me a very important point wherein always it is said that always go for a business which is not selling off things, but giving a solution to the customer's problem. And I can relate it to your conversation and also to the experience that you have, and also the much I have read about you and about your company, Aka Leadership. They years back started the solution giving company which was missing. People were doing business, but they were not becoming leaders. They were becoming managers, right? So how do we give a solution to a problem is what the business idea comes in. The very important point which also being raised here by ma'am, social media. She has been using it exceptionally into learning part. And I want to raise a question to you again to the topic which ma'am has said. Yes, you as a leader, I want to raise a question to you. Are you using social media as a blessing or as a time pass? It has to be answered by you. Ma'am, your inputs on it, please.
Akshay, this very webinar today is happening thanks to social media. You reached out to me on LinkedIn. I responded promptly, and here we are. So really speaking, yes, I do sometimes do time pass on social media, which is all right.
I was not mentioning about you, ma'am. I was mentioning about students. We as a student from you, how do we take it? I was not.
No, I mean, I'll be very honest. All of us do time pass. I enjoy Pinterest and all those images and lovely looking photographs on Insta and everything. But I think the amount of time I may do time pass is so limited because otherwise it's very distracting. It's like a rabbit hole. You can just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into that rabbit hole. I use it as a tool. I use it effectively as a tool. And I actually, when I had been in the coaching industry for about 10 plus years, and I then started building my social media account. I got a friend to help me out. Now, when you all talked about not having resources, let me tell you that in my early years, and it has got nothing to do with my affordability, I'll be very candid to say that, but I had my own self-respect and my own desire to grow on my own steam. So there were times when I have done barter with people where I coached them in exchange for things they did for me. So someone did my social media work. I paid very little and I offered to coach them. And that's how I struck deals. Someone made my PowerPoint presentations for me. And again, I did a coaching for them. The person who did my branding, I coached them and we kind of, discounted my fee. So their fee, sorry. So everywhere I try to see what can we do such that we can work things out sometimes. How can we add value to each other? And that's why I say relationships is a huge one. So I started using social media to brand myself. And when I say brand myself, it was more about sharing my experiences and knowledge. The branding came as a outcome. So when you talk of money, branding came as an outcome. The money follows after that, of course, because the more people that know me, the easier it gets for me to get work. But you have to give to get. And it doesn't come for free. Nothing comes for free. There is no free lunch. I have given away hours and hours of coaching to my peers. I've given away hours and hours of coaching to NGOs. All that I put out on the internet is for free. And it's that which then gives me an access or to expand my universe of
I'm very sure of the network that you have. You bring me to a point where I was reading in a book, your network is your net worth, which has been more or less proven in the social media cases. And that's why I believe, ma'am, you came in at the top 29 ranked person in the top 100 emerging voices of India, right? So that's how you speak out things and use the social media into well. You are no unknown face in the Indian context. I'm sure Bollywood knows you, corporate leaders know you, corporate CEOs have been in touch with you to get coaching from you. So we are lucky enough to have you as in with us for sharing your thoughts and your experiences with us. I now move on to the point wherein you have any question, guys. You may please ask, or if you would like to make a point which could add on to our learning, please share. Yes, Lasatta. I would say Lashata. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Sorry.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. First of all, tell us, how do we pronounce your name?
Lasata Shakya.
Lasata. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Please
Good
go
morning,
ahead.
sir.
Yeah.
I have a question for our ma'am today. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Lasata. Please go ahead.
Can you give us some ideas or tips on staying motivated and not giving up? Thank you.
So well said. This was my agenda next, which I was about to ask you. Thank you for sharing in between. Ma'am, please, that's a very important point which we have to.
It's a question I'm often asked. And I think with me, the thing is, I've never even had to ask myself the question because I love life so much. There is so much out there to explore. So when you talk of how to stay motivated, it's very easy the minute you face a failure, to give up and to think it's the end of the road. In fact, I would say it's a turning point in your life. It's just a turning point, because my motivation comes from always wanting to do better to the next day, be a better version of myself. How can I excel? How can I do something more? How can I do something differently? I think just the innate curiosity to keep doing new things and doing things differently is what drives me hugely. So if I have, for instance, already, okay, so I'll share something with you all. About 2 years ago, before we had the pandemic, and a year and a half, 2 years ago, and everything now is shut down. But anyway, that has given rise to yet another set of opportunities where everything is available virtually. I decided to join acting classes, theater, purely to learn a new skill. So the learner in me is very high. Every year, I personally set out to, there are my year starts with taking a few decisions. What will I do differently this year? In what dimension will I grow and be different in that year? What new things will I learn? What will I just try, not for the sake of excelling at it, but just for the sake of trying? So it could be, water skiing, where I may fall in the water and not even be able to stand straight, but it doesn't matter to me. The fact that I tried something out of my comfort zone is enough to fuel me next. So I love to explore and experiment. And I think what happens as a result is this whole concept of motivation doesn't even come into play. I am always looking forward to what next. Motivation comes into play when we get attached to a outcome. So you're putting in effort, and you got attached to an idea or an outcome, and you say, this is how it should be. Now, who are you and I to decide that that is how only it can be? Something can actually be another way. So if you look at, let's say, Sony in music industry, they came up with a Walkman. And, when Sony came out with a Walkman, I forget the name of the entrepreneur, but he was laughed at for putting music on the go. People literally laughed at him that how could he even conceive the idea of music on the go? And who would have thought that Apple would shrink music, film, telephone, everything into one gadget and all the apps? So people, it's now, if even Steve Jobs had stayed limited to this is how the computer should look and it can look no different, and the phone should look this way and look no different, you're actually limiting your own imagination and creativity. So the biggest hindrance to our motivation and to our pursuing our passion and discovering is that we get stuck. We're not willing to explore and just be curious and try. It is not just bookish to say that, Edison failed 1,000 times and everybody fails and so on. It is reality. We read it in books, but we don't think it should happen to us. I think that's the place where we dismiss it. Why is it happening to me? And I would love to ask you, why not you?
Following your passion, with your session, ma'am, I am into a bit of situation where my wife is watching you and everyone else live on Facebook, and she's messaging me, we have to follow our passion, Akshay. You have been missing it. So come back to the line which ma'am is saying, that she's messaging me, and I have to again now bring back to the passion following. Guys, any other point that you have to bring in?
Can I ask?
Please, Dr. Devraj is director at Global College International. Please, welcome, sir.
Yes,
Please go
Dr.
ahead.
Devraj.
Good
Pleasure to
morning.
have you here. Thank you so much for being
Good
here.
morning, Ashu Khanna ma'am. Very well articulated, very remarkable thoughts, really very much insightful, and feel so lucky being with your session. And yes, despite all this, again, a further question is yet to be addressed, which is in me, I don't know whether people are having the same or not. Trains of thought. So like two principles I'm now, floating between, trying to pedal on. Two principles. One says, okay, we don't have time enough. We got to rush and achieve the goals. The other one principle. The other says, no, we got to follow the passion, respect of what the timeline, it takes you through. So where to cut the slice? This is again, I don't find the answer to this. Where to cut the slice now? Which where to go? What could be the third center? Or what would be your suggestion, ma'am? Really, I have found that you are very much experienced on all these.
So, Mr. Devraj, it's a very relevant question, and it's a tough question. It's a tough choice. I don't take that away. It is a tough choice for anybody to decide when to call it quits on something that they may not be enjoying doing, but they feel the necessity to do it.
Mhm.
Now, I think question to ask yourself is that necessity really, how real is it, or is it something that I have gotten into such a vicious cycle that I'm unable to get out of it? The second thing is that we have to make peace with what life sometimes we've spun for ourselves, unless we are really willing to throw it all up.
Mhm.
Learning to make peace with one's choices is also part of growing, growing as a human being and being happy with where we are. Idealism is always a welcome place to be, but reality is reality. And cutting the cord can be a challenge. But so, many years ago, I was attending a discourse by Swami Parthasarathy, and he asked a question: when is it enough? Now, everybody's definition of the word enough is different. Someone may be happy with 3 meals a day and be absolutely okay with it. And someone with all the riches may also not be happy because they possibly have not got the cuisine of choice that day. So, when is it enough is a very personal answer. The second principle that I live with is, if so, the pandemic has really, in a way, I think it's shown us even more starkly that life is short and unpredictable. What do you want to do with your life such that you don't live a life of regrets, but live a life of a leader, personal self leader? Is again a choice each one has to make.
Very nice, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Small addition to the point, being a
Yeah.
facilitator, I would like to put in and ask you, Ashu ma'am, when you follow the path of your passion or your own thought process which you want to become, we few of us being a family person, maybe we have our own families, major maybe students who have got parents as a family, right? So when you follow your passion, does it not affect the family, right? In terms of, like as many as points as can be included in it. So your thoughts on this, ma'am?
So that's why I said that, coexistence is the fundamental law of life. I mean, even nature, we coexist with nature. We can't be destroying, we talk about climate change, environment protection. Everything needs to be the same way. Our relationships are also a part of our coexistence. And it doesn't mean you go about destroying everything for pursuing a passion, unless those relationships are not giving you joy or there are other conflicts in life. Sometimes you have to, the thing is, how much can you influence and get them to appreciate what you want to do. Sometimes it may take time. Sometimes it takes longer to get everybody aligned with you to pursue your passion. And that is also our path to growth. Cutting the cord may be relevant for the right answer for some. Aligning everybody may be the right answer for another. It's very circumstantial. But carrying people along with you is how you grow as a person. You cannot anyway grow in isolation. And our journey is not a selfish journey.
So well
So,
said, ma'am. Yeah.
so
Please.
when we talk about my passion, yes, even as a coach, let me tell you, when I'm working professionally, why am I in Pittsburgh today? I'm in Pittsburgh because my sons are here and could not come back to India for the last year and a half. I had my 2 vaccinations, so I chose to fly down to spend time with them and be with them for a while. But that doesn't mean now I am adjusting my work schedule accordingly. I'm doing all kinds of things. So it's about then you adapt and adjust and try to make the most of where you are, what situation you are in.
So that's bring me to the point wherein I thank again social media for bringing you live from Pittsburgh, US with us. Otherwise, we would have missed this session if you had not been in India or Nepal. We will be not taking much of the time more. We have got last 1 or 2 questions because in Nepal, whoever has joined from Nepal, we have a day just started. But a few of our friends who have joined from US and Canada as well, their day is about to get over. They have to take some sound sleep to get up tomorrow morning again and start afresh. So we would not take more questions. 1 or 2 maybe there. Yeah, Preetham has raised the hand. Preetham, can you
good morning, sir.
Yeah, hi. Why don't you please ask a question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good evening and good afternoon to you.
I don't know.
Yeah, Preetham, please go ahead with the question.
My question for you is sometimes you will feel like you're not okay, or you're not ready for what you are trying to achieve in a what you say, some factors that will keep pushing you. Sometimes like you will feel like you are unmotivated in sometimes, and the factors that will push you to attain what you want to do or what your goals are, and what would be the factors that would push you to achieve some certain thing that you have assumed to achieve, like that?
Okay, before ma'am starts answering the question, let's take question from Iksha as well. And ma'am, you please club on and take the question. Otherwise, we will.
So before I take the 2 questions, let me ask Lasata, is that her? Did she get enough tips to feel motivated with my question answer?
Lashita, you there? Please unmute yourself and say.
Okay, we'll move forward, Akshay. It's okay.
Yeah, Iksha, please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask question.
Hello, ma'am and sir. Good morning.
Please ask question, please.
Ma'am, I want to ask it to you. When are you most fully yourself? I mean, we all have that moments or places where we come alive. I mean, apart from all the professional lives or the works and all, but sometimes maybe even work as well. But I'm just curious. I want to know what and where are the points in your life where you find yourself fully. That's all.
Okay, so thank you so much for that very
before you answer, Shumam, one more question has come to me from the Facebook thing. The question is, a lot of time, like the questioner is asking, my mood and mind changes frequently. What should I do to be stable with my passion? That's addition to the point.
Okay, so I think if I had to answer this question along with Preetham's question, I'll combine the 2. How do you keep your passion going in the face of feeling demotivated, helpless, all the challenges? So there are many things. So First is having clarity on what your vision. And I call life always about going back to the basics. Every time you feel a sense of powerlessness, helplessness, go back to that vision of what did I set out to do? Have I actually digressed from it, or am I still there or committed to that vision? And did my, just the little goals and tasks take over and overwhelm me so much that I lost sight of my vision? The second thing is to sit back and reacquaint yourself with your strengths and your achievements. We don't celebrate our achievements, I think, enough. We just keep running behind what next, what next. Sit back, write down your strengths, celebrate your achievements, and that itself is a huge fuel to move next. Thirdly, really sit and see that what is it that you are trying to achieve and what could you do differently? Because as I come back to the saying that, maybe you've not reached out for support, maybe you've not asked others for help, maybe there's somebody else you need to ask for help. Not everybody says, and there is a common problem that happens with many of us, that when somebody says no, we don't go back to the same person to ask a second time. We assume that no is a finality. My experience, I'll tell you that no may just be for that point in time or for that facet that they said no. It doesn't mean that they said no to you, they said no to that request. And it's really objectively breaking the two apart. The fourth thing is that we all, as I started with, we all have a leader within. How aligned are you with that leader inside of yourself? How much do you nurture that leader in you to grow and continue to give you ideas and to continue to actually nurture you and unleash your potential? That requires some amount of, it may sound very cliched, but meditation or exercise or yoga or contemplation or reading, but time with self or journaling, anything which reconnects you with your inner self. That's how you really stay connected, remotivated, and refuel your passion and get back on track. Moments of helplessness hit all of us. In this pandemic, many of us have been through moments of helplessness. Last week itself, my mother-in-law has been down with COVID. We could not find a hospital for her. And it was a very challenging time for the family. Between all of us, we must have reached out to at least 50 people to ask for help, if not more. And thanks to WhatsApp today, every school chat, college chat, every chat that we could put the request on, we put it out on. And it took us about more than 24 hours to finally, about 2 days nearly, to get her a bed. So was there a feeling of, should I say helplessness, or in fact, resolute determination to keep trying and saying, are we missing something? How can we, are we missing something? So that resolute determination to just keep at it and saying, let's just keep trying and do our best till such point that we feel that there is no more scope left, or, we get what we can. And we did get a bed for her with God's grace. And she's doing well now, much recovered now. So yes, it all hits all of us, these ups and downs. That's humanness. How long you stay stuck in that feeling of helplessness is what defines your level of leadership in you, or distinguishes you as a leader. So there's a common example of a clay ball, a glass ball, and a rubber ball. If you throw a glass ball, it breaks and shatters. You throw a clay ball, it cracks. You throw a rubber ball, it bounces back. Do you have the resilience and agility in you to bounce back, or are you a glass ball that breaks and shatters when it falls down? It's for us to really work through that. And we have that capacity to build that agility and resilience. I would recommend, Akshay, for people to watch. I'm going to put it in the chat. 1 second. Let me see if I can suggest. Look up the video of this person. Okay. I mean, if you look at the video of this gentleman, he is a man born without limbs. And you have to see the passion, the love, and the zeal with which he lives life. I have met him in person, and I think I would say I was ashamed that I was even complaining about anything after meeting him. The way he has made his life possible is nothing short of miracle. And today he is married with 2 children. So you've got to see the video to believe it. Coming to your question of when am I at my best, or I am most with myself? My work really is not work for me. It is a calling. It is who I am. And it energizes me. It aligns me. It channelizes my passion. So I am at my best when I'm here. With my family is again when I blossom big time. Actually, many places. I love going alone. I love going for a walk in just out in nature looking. So I'm in Pittsburgh, where there are tulips blooming on the roadside. All colors of tulips I've seen. And I just so enjoy just watching the various colors of tulips and cherry blossoms and the red buds and the flowers here. I could be reading a book and watching TV and having a good laugh. Again, I'll be myself. So I think it's about finding joy in those little things of life. I'm cooking for my kids every day. When they enjoy the meal, it gives me joy. So as I said, it's finding joy in everything as many things as I do and can do to my best of. So when I'm doing things to my best of is when I'm really joyful. And yeah, there are moments I get tired and I'm quiet. That is also a moment when it's my best, because I need to, come back, reconnect, re-energize to come back into the world fully. And that's also okay. So would I call that not my best? No, I would simply say refueling is, again, it's like a car. You can't run it at gear 5 or 4 all the time. You have to refuel it. You have to service it. You have to go at different speeds. Yeah. So that's just how life goes for me as well.
To add on this point, let me show you a video, everyone, of Ashu ma'am, which I have seen it a long back. Your guide to your journey of self-discovery. If I'm allowed to share it on the YouTube.
Sure, of course.
I'm not sure if, yeah, can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can allow for the audio also to be. 1 second. Share sound. Yes.
When was the last time you had a moment of self-discovery. When you questioned yourself, explored your soul to know who you are and what you believe in. Life is a journey of self-discovery, of knowing your strengths and realizing your roots. Let's step away from these ever-increasing choices. Take a pause. Staying true to our most authentic self. Observe and reflect within. And as you become aware of the power you hold within, you realize you are your best kept secret. Ashu Khanna, your guide to the journey of your self-discovery.
Also, with this, let me switch it off and ask you guys to watch this video. This says Ashu with Ashish. Ashish Vidyarthi, I'm sure you must have seen a lot of his movies and videos, but his conversation specifically with Ashu ma'am is mesmerizing. And they both sit with a cup of coffee and they talk about things in life. So I'm sure this will help you take your life journey to a different level. And thank you. We are not taking any questions more, guys. If you have any question, please share it with us through any medium that you feel like, Facebook page, LinkedIn, whatever medium, our SMS and our chat box, our WhatsApp, anywhere, and we will try to reach it to Ashu ma'am. Also, if you wish to connect to Ashu ma'am, please follow her on YouTube and LinkedIn. She's very active on LinkedIn. And let me formally bring in thanking people who have been with us. Ashu ma'am, anything that you have to say before we end the session, or any last comment before we thank everyone and close the session?
So, you know, in the video, I said life is a journey of self-discovery. And when I would really sum it up with all the questions you asked me about passion, motivation, everything comes down to what fuels me most of is discovering new facets about myself. And that's why I love to explore and experiment, whether it came to doing, you know, like I said, a theater course or all the kinds of activities I do or all the things. It's all about discovering what more, what next, what new am I capable of or not capable of also. Like when I did the theater course, I discovered, yeah, I cannot be an actor. I can have fun doing what I'm doing, but I can't be an actor. That's not something that goes naturally with me. Even though at home I may be called a drama queen, but it is not, I cannot make, you know, it's not something I can make a vocation or a profession of, but just doing the course is what gives me joy. So it's a journey of self-discovery. Embrace your life as a journey of self-discovery and self-transformation. Looking into just an outcome every time, or being limited by what I call social norms or social parameters. I think that's the better word. Social parameters is where you will limit your unleashing that human being in you. So go all out. You've been blessed in an era of internet. You're blessed in an era of choices, and just go unleash and explore and find that Mount Everest inside of yourself. Scale it in yourself. And I would like to thank Akshay for connecting with me on LinkedIn and giving me this opportunity to connect with the youth. And I'm going to let you into a little secret here, Akshay. A month ago, I put out to my team that I would now like to work with the youth. And I've worked for many years with leaders. I would like to continue to work with leaders, but I would like to spend a higher proportion of my time working with the youth. And lo and behold, your message landed in my in mail. So the power of intention, when you want to do something good and make a difference to humanity, is the highest power you possess. Use that favor in your favor.
This point has come in, ma'am, where a question is being asked with the student. I want to take this question. He says, do you think law of attraction is guaranteed to work every time you experience? See what happened with this session. She was working, thinking of it, and I don't know how the dots get got connected. So that's for sure.
Does it always work? Listen, there are no guarantees in life. So let's not again get fixated with guarantees. I will not give you a guarantee for anything. That's not for me to do. But yeah, do your best with your best intentions, with a clean, pure heart, and life will, the universe will respond favorably.
There are messages coming to me, sir. Why are you ending the session so soon? Can we not continue? Guys, the problem is we have 8:50 a.m. right now, but at Ashu Ma'am's place, it's already 11 in the night. We would we would be talking about breakfast and she's talking about her bed milk. So understand the situation that I cannot compel her to continue with the session, wherein I also personally want to continue with this. But nevertheless, I'm sure you guys have enjoyed the session thoroughly.
On LinkedIn, on Twitter, and I will respond to your questions. Please feel free to message me there. I will respond.
Yep. For any other query that you have, you please follow her on Twitter, LinkedIn, and social media. She is very active there. And before I end the session, let me thank the formalities part to be brought in the picture because we're having a formal session. So let me thank our principal, Dr. Karan Thaguna Sahab, Dr. Devraj Paneru for being with us, Dr. Subhash Shrestha, Dr. Ram Nupane, Anurag Gaire sir, Suren Joshi sir, Manoj sir, Nozal sir, and countless people who have been here with us. Thank you so much for being with us and being actively participative. And without the help of our IT team, Naveen Duwadi sir, our ITCT head of Global College International, Deep Raj, our smart, handsome hunk, I guess he's somewhere there. Yes, Srijan. So without these three people, this session would not have been possible. And I thank all those 400-500 people who have been there watching us live on Facebook and some 200-300 people on the Zoom thing. So thank you so much, everyone. And ma'am, last point before we close the session. I heard, like we all heard, that you are surrounded by tulips and all colorful tulips. We would love to welcome you to the land of mountains, ma'am. Being an Indian, I stay in Nepal. It's beautiful. And I'm sure you would love it too. So on behalf of all the people of Nepal, I, being an Indian, staying in Nepal, welcome you to Nepal.
Thank you so very much. So thank you everybody for joining in this so early in the morning for my session today.
And please do visit Nepal, Ansel ma'am.
Thank you so much.
And Global College International.
So I have come, I must tell you, I've much as I would definitely love to come again. I came to Kathmandu about 30 years ago.
Wow, okay.
So it's obviously changed significantly, I'm sure, from then to now. Or maybe
Let me tell you, ma'am, the biggest change, 90% of the population watching you on Zoom were not even born 30 years back.
Now don't make me feel so old, Akshay. So
no. This is a comment which is coming in, ma'am. Coming in, ma'am. You look utterly graceful, is what people have been mentioning.
You're killing my mojo completely here. I'm trying to connect with your youth, and you're telling me they were not even born.
No, that's what people have been mentioning it, ma'am. You look so graceful. So there are comments like this also coming in.
So please give a second thought of coming to Nepal.
I look forward, and thank you so much for the invitation to Nepal.
So
and thank you to all the people of Nepal who are here today, and to all of you who have actually opened your hearts out to me. I really, with all my heart's gratitude to you, because what you've done is validated once again the law of universe to me. And for that, I owe you all my gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
and
you
have
so
a nice
much,
time there.
Ashu, ma'am. And we guys will again join next Friday with Professor Dr. Tulsi Dharel. He will be live from Canada. Being a Nepali, working and living in Canada from a long 20-25 years, he will be sharing his thoughts with us in the next Friday, 7 a.m. in the morning, Nepal time. Thank you so much, guys, for being with us. Thank you so much and have a lovely day ahead. And Ashu ma'am, a very good evening to you, I would say. Thank you so much for getting connected.
Thank you, and a good day to all of you. Thank you.
Good night. Good night, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Devraj, for hosting me at Global College. Thank you so much.
Please.
Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am.
Deepra sir, I guess you can end up the session out here and we will take it forward to the next session on next Friday.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.